Hello, folks. Welcome to my channel. DJ here again with a comment. It's quite probably one of my longest comments I'm going to make to you, and I hope you will stay with me, and I hope you'll listen to it. Now, I would love to hear your comments afterwards. I always enjoy your comments. If they're positive, they don't have to agree with me, but they have to be positive. No sort of name calling or attacks on my personality or my presentation, but positive comments on the topic. So please subscribe to my channel if you will. It keeps me going. But let's get into the post right now, into my speech. And this is not going to be a religious post, but a discourse on what is happening in the UK today. Now, complacency, this is what I'm talking about. It's not going to be religion, but bear with me. Complacency is a is a dangerous attitude. Proverbs 1:32, for the waywardness of the simple will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. Those are strong words of a warning indeed, and they were from the Bible. Yes, it was from the Old Testament. Yet complacency is among us, and those suffering complacency are not bothered. They're not bothered. I'm going to go to one more quote from the Bible, then I will stop with the quotes. This is from the New Testament. In fact, it's the last book of the New Testament. It's Revelation. And in Revelation, Jesus warns us in Revelation 3, and it's verses 15 to 16, if you have a mind to check them up. I know your deeds. You are neither cold nor hot. How I wish you one of or the other. So because you're lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to vomit you, spew you out of my mouth. Just what is the definition of complacency? Verse 17 is, you shall say, I am rich, I have grown wealthy and need nothing, but you do not realize you're wretched, pitiable, poor, blind and naked. That's the end of the scriptures. Kier Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, announced a public inquiry will be held into the failures of authorities to prevent the 17-year-old Alex, what's his name, Rudakubana, 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 from carrying out his horrific knife attack. You'll remember it in Southport, where the riots afterwards came out. It left 3 young girls, schoolgirls, dead. Now, so the Prime Minister is saying he's asking for a public inquiry. Now, while speaking following the Rudakubana's sentencing, the PM said, we also see acts of extreme violence perpetrated by loners, misfits, young men in their bedroom, accessing all manner of material online. Now, I'm going to see if I can find another quote on that, but I don't think I can. Let's see if I can. Oh, yes. If the law, this is Starmer continuing, if the law needs to change to recognise this new and dangerous threat, then we will change it quickly. The Home Office spokesman said the UK's threat picture is complex, evolving and enduring, which is why we have one of the strongest counter-terrorism frameworks in the world. This includes a wide range of specialist counter-terrorism powers to detect, investigate, disrupt terrorist activity. The independent inquiry into the events of Southport will be looked at in a wider challenge of rising youth violence and extremism to ensure no one falls through the cracks. We will continue to work at a pace to identify the nature and scale of growing cohort of fixated with violence and to improve multi-agency intervention to manage the risk they pose. Yeah. But what we as a country as a whole looking to close the gaps of the terrorist mind after it's been formed and why are we not looking to deal with the problems at the start? They're saying, "Oh, we've got all these ideas. We can identify the nature and scale of the growing cohort fixated with violence." But that's the symptoms. What are we doing about the element that is grown up in our country, where young people, loners, are on their computers learning how to bomb, how to stab, how to shoot individuals because they're not Muslim? Yes, I've said it. I probably have a knock on the door now that I've said it, but it is true. Most terrorist activities emanate from the mind of jihad. Why people keep denying this, and it is not the people in the country that are denying this, it's the politicians, it's the civil service that are denying where these terrorist activities emanate from. They fight in the cause of Allah, only against those. Now, I said I wouldn't go back to scripture. I'm going to the Quran. And so we've got to understand the reasons for terrorism. And the answer lies in the fact that much of the terrorist activities emanate from the mindset of jihad, from a religion that espouses violence against those who do not worship the God that they do. They fight in the cause of Allah, only against those. This is Surah Al-Baqarah, and it's verse 190 from the Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, Baqarah, verse 190. So you can look it up. So I'm not making these things up. I am telling you the truth of where they're getting their thoughts from. And if I get a knock on the door, then I think the police have got to explain where I've gone wrong, where I'm saying something that isn't true, when it's written down in their Quran. So here it goes. Fight in the cause of Allah, only against those who wage war against you, but do not exceed the limits. Allah does not like transgressors. So fight in the cause of Allah, but only against those who wage war against you. Now, who are the ones who wage war against the Muslims? Surah 4, verse 89. And they wish that you should disbelieve like they have. Then they'll think of you as equal if you disbelieve as they do. So take them not as your friends until they migrate to the path of Allah. And if they turn away, then seize them and kill them, and whenever you find them, and take not from them as a friend or a helper. There we have it. If the ones they are against are the ones who wish for them, the Muslims, to disbelieve like they do. So when we ask them to integrate, they claim it is a problem that we're asking them to disbelieve what they're told. This is why they want Sharia law, because our laws are not Sharia law, so we're asking them to believe our laws when they're in England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland, Northern Ireland. So they're asking you, they see it as we're asking them to disbelieve their own laws. And that will make us all equal. And that's what it says. It says, and they wish that you should disbelieve like they have, then you will be equal under the law. So take them not as your friends until they migrate or move in the path of Allah, so become Muslims themselves. So we've got to be like them. They come into this country and then they expect us to be like them. And if they turn away from their request for us to become Muslims, then seize them and kill them. Then wherever you find them. This is the scriptures that they go by. So do not, when you policemen come to my address, please take note, I'm only quoting from their own Bible, their own Quran. You know, within the Western nations, we turn a blind eye. And we turn a blind eye to the teachings of the Quran. But within the Islamic world, their religion is taught as a lively book, a living instruction to be enacted when they say the believers feel within position to carry out its commands. So there's the command, kill them. And the believers feel it's their position to do so. The problem lies within the ideas of globalism. This is Britain, Europe, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. The problem lies with globalism, where all immigration is good, or thought of as good. But that idea also relies on the assumption that within immigration comes integration into the Western culture and the Western religious background. Now, we're not expecting them to join our religions, but the West has a Christian-based democracy. Our laws are based on Christian-based democracy. Our political institutions are based on a Christian. We have become a nation in the UK of denying our Christian backgrounds, but it's there. It's the foundation of everything we do, whether we like it or not, whether we recognise it or not. It's there. We're not based on Muslims. We're not based on Buddhism. We're not based on Hinduism. We're not based on any of the others, terrorism and things like that. We're not there. We're based on a Christian background. And that's how it is. The Western ideals involve respect for all and every religious belief. The Christian ideal has been watered down and syncretized so that traditional Western Christians speak of Jesus loving everyone and every sect, race and belief. But Islam is different. Islam is about subjugation. You either become a Muslim or, as it said in that scripture, kill them. It was straightforward, wasn't it? I didn't make it up. You can read it yourself. So, Islam is about subjugation. The word Islam means subjugation. It does not mean and is not peaceable in the face of what he calls blasphemy of belief of Mohammed or Allah. And we know this. We saw many times. I mean, in France, we had that magazine that did cartoons of Mohammed. They were murdered by Muslims. As a teacher up north in England, he showed the children in his class in his religious instructions, where we're now told that we've got to teach all religions as equal. So he showed pictures of what he said was Jesus, and of course there is no pictures of Jesus. There wasn't any cameras, and nobody was standing there, an artist drawing his features. There isn't any, but there are pictures that people seem to accept are. They were drawn by Michelangelo, who was very active in doing all the pictures in the Vatican, and it's a picture of his homosexual boyfriend that he used for the depiction of Christ. But that's another story, isn't it? And something that's probably controversial, I've just said, but it's true. You can look it up. You can look it up if you've got a mind to do so. But anyhow, we're back onto this post, aren't we? So Islam means subjugation. It does not mean peace, and it, in the face of what it calls blasphemy, the belief of Muhammad and Allah, they will kill. And we've seen it. We've experienced it across the world. Barack Obama, the president of USA, coined at the time of the Twin Tower attack, he coined the phrase, Islam is a religion of peace. It was in the immediate aftermath of the 2001 tragedy of the Twin Tower attack, where 2 planes were flown into the building, killing approximately 3,000 people. The phrase, I believe, was repeated again after the Boston Marathon bombings in America, and similar sentiments expressed here in the UK when the Ariana, I don't know her, but I know she's a pop artist of some sort, popular with the children, I understand. In Manchester, the arena was bombed and people were killed. Young people were killed there. Many more incidents over Europe, the USA, and even within the UK have not deterred politicians from telling us Islam is a religion of peace. But to get back to the purpose of this video, authorities within the UK and the Western world, for that matter, seemingly are failing to get to the bottom of terrorism as practiced by our youthful lone wolf terrorists. Why? Why are they not telling us? Well, how can I answer that? Because their mindset is different to mine, and hopefully yours too. There's a failing to break out of the complacency. I mentioned complacency at the start of this post. So there's a failure to break out of this complacency, a failure to act in a positive manner through education, through training and education within the school system that promotes our country. For too long now, the educational system has denied the achievements of Great Britain. Not enough emphasis on the abolition of slavery. Britain was the first nation to do so, to abolish slavery. The Industrial Revolution, a British thing that happened, which has created an industrialised world. Britain's fight against the Nazis. Britain's stand against communism, and why we did so. There's no teachings in regard to the evils of communism within school curriculum. There is a failure within homes and schools to teach good manners, courtesy, helpfulness, self-reliance. There's no mention of living up to the values of this once great nation that we were. The ideals of respecting others has been lost to this generation. It's so sad, but it's true. I grew up, myself personally, as a child, and we called our elders sir or ma'am. You may have had different words, but it showed respect for our elders. You know what I'm talking about. Where if we saw a neighbour struggling with a load, we ran to give a helping hand. Just recently, I ran to give a helping hand to a man trying to tackle a very overgrown bush in his elderly father's front garden. He was visiting and he got some basic tools to help to cut this bush which was hanging out into the street, and people were complaining. I took with me, when I ran to help him, and I took with me my chainsaw, a portable chainsaw. So his reaction was one of shock, refusal of any help, looking at me at askance, as if I was begging for something off him. It saddened me that offers of help are now looked upon as suspicious activity. We're in a bind unless we get back to an age seemingly gone. But this is why there'll always be the lone wolf, ready to pounce with ferocity, carrying out his own terrorist activities, killing and murdering the lives of the young and old that are obliterated by his actions. We are not respecting. We're not brought up in the home. We're not brought up in the schools. We're not brought up in the colleges and at work even to respect others. We only seem to be, children are now growing up, youth are growing up, only doing what they're told to do by those who have power over them. And there's a resentment in youth today. And the lone wolf who is, what do they call it? they are grabbed on the internet by these militant terrorist organisations. Their imagination is moulded into them thinking, oh, we're oppressed. Oh, the people in Palestine are oppressed. Oh, Muslims are oppressed. Oh, our religion is disregarded. Our religion is being thwarted. Where our religion teaches to convert everyone, but if they will not be converted, it tells us to murder them. And I have a duty to do so. And this propaganda from the terrorist organisations is finding a way in. It's finding a way into the minds of young people and turning them in to militant, violent terrorists. Now, I'm not going to say any more. I've said enough, and this is the longest chat I've done recently. So please comment, make a comment. As I say, comment on what I've said, not on myself. And please, if you like to have these posts and little talks, then press the like button. And don't forget, I cannot continue unless you are subscribing to the channel. It doesn't cost you a penny. It doesn't cost you it doesn't even cost you a rupee. It's totally free. Totally free. So please, please, please press the subscribe button so I can continue. And I'll bring you another one very soon. But until then, I want to say, be safe, be happy, and goodbye.